Hey guys, welcome. My name is Fahd Dawood. I've been doing real estate for the last 15 years. A lot of times with my current clients, previous clients, and a lot of my subscribers on YouTube ask me this question: what happens in the instance of somebody passing away in the UAE who owns property? And I always tell them, look, there is a preeminent expert on estate planning in the UAE, and I wish and I will, and I've promised a lot of you that I shall interview him and bring him live to you guys so that, if you've got follow-up questions, you can talk to him directly. But in this interview, I want to introduce him and bring to the fore as much information as possible that would help you. A brief introduction on him: he's been doing this for the last 32 years, 15 years in the UK as an estate planner, and then for the last 17 years in the UAE. I'm going to bring him to you right now. Show reel first. All right guys, welcome back. I don't think I would be able to do complete justice to the amount of experience this gentleman has. I'm going to take it to him and allow him to please kindly request him to introduce himself. So Mr. Mohammed Maria, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Mohammed Maria. Wills, what can I say? I've been doing this for many, many years. Sometimes I have to sit down with a calculator to work out how many years I've been drafting wills. All I can say to you is that since 1990 to 2004 to 5, I was with Just Wills in the UK, and then I came to the UAE with the Just Wills franchise. And from 2004 to 5 to date, this is what I've been doing. I must admit, it was a challenge back in the early days when I moved here, trying to understand the culture, the local laws, and unfortunately there wasn't much of any system to register the wills. So I'm glad to say that from 2004 to 5 to now, there are now systems where you can register the wills, and I must say to the UAE, hats off to the government that they have implemented not one, not two, not three, but 4 systems where expats can register the wills. And I've seen this from the beginning to now. And this is something I've just been doing all the time, and you can get the right information from me on this particular topic.
Thank you very much. Mr. Maria, what I want to do, just to start off, get a little bit of a brief overview of inheritance laws in the UAE as it applies to both Muslims and non-Muslims. And pardon my ignorance, maybe there is no difference, but a lot of people come with preconceived notions. So if you gave like a brief overview to get them started on the information so that the preliminary questions might be answered.
Number one, there is no inheritance tax in the UAE. So this is very important. You need to understand that there's no inheritance tax here. In your home country, it's a different matter. And I know sometimes your estate here could be part of the estate in your home country. So you could be taxed here, but it's not the UAE taxing you, it's your home country doing that. Number two, in terms of the laws here for the Muslims versus the non-Muslims, remember one thing is that if you're a Muslim, by Sharia, you only can make a will of up to 1/3 of your estate, and that 1/3 cannot go back to the legal heir. So when you're looking at the will, if you look at your estate as 100 shares, whether it's your property, your bank account, your jewelry, your car, your locker, FD accounts, look at it as 100 shares. If you're a Muslim, you only can make a will of 1/3.
Okay.
Now, if you're a non-Muslim, then you can do what you like. You have full discretion on your estate. How would you like it to be divided? So when I'm looking at estate planning, I'm sorry to say this, but I need to know the religion first, because if you're a Muslim, it's done in a different way. If you're a non-Muslim, you do what you like.
Okay, that's good. So that's a brief overview of the way inheritance law works in the UAE. Obviously, for specifics, you'd get more in touch with Mr. Maria and get into your specific situation. Now, we know this overview. Why is it important? Because I know you've been a big, you've been championing the cause that people should have a will in Dubai, in the UAE. Regardless of whether you have assets or not, you should have this. Why is it important for people to have a will in the UAE?
Look, A will for me, and this is very important for your viewers to understand, a will is not only covering your estate. Who will look after your children? Who will look after the money for your children? These are three important elements that makes up a will. So forget the religion. You make a will. I need to know that if you're not here tomorrow, who's going to go to the court to open up the legal aid file?
Right.
That is called the executor. So in layman terms, say the PRO. The PRO's got to go to the court. So who's going to do that work? I mean, if you're not here tomorrow, your family could be disputing who's going to do the work. Now, maybe there could be an agreement within the family, or maybe there are arguments. So number one, who will do the work? Number two, if you have children, now it's very important you understand this, that if you have children, the physical guardianship of the children always goes to the mother. So when I'm talking about physical, I mean who will keep the children.
Right.
It's the wife. There's no issue about that. But let's say, God forbid, and everything's God forbid, let's say if you and your wife are both not here. Now I'm asking you a question. If you and your wife are not here, what do you think will happen to the children?
At the moment, we don't know.
I can give you the answer to the question. There was a case more than 10 years ago where the children were at school and the parents died in a car accident. The school knew nobody's going to pick up the children from school. It was 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They didn't know what to do. They called the police in and they told the police, take the children into care because we can't take them home. We can't keep them in the school. So when you're drafting a will, you need to nominate the guardians who will look after the children. That is in case if both husband and wife is not here. Or let's take an example, it's a single parent. Who will look after the children? That's the second element. The third element, who will look after the money for the children? So you can appoint your brother as the PRO to go to the court, but you might say, I don't think my brother will be able to look after my children. I would like to appoint my wife's sister as the guardian, the physical guardian. So you look at the difference now. I'm not looking at the money, forget the property. I'm just talking about the children. That you need to appoint a person who will do the execution of your paperwork, who will go to the land department, transfer the property, get the NOC from the developers, pay any outstanding payments. Who's going to do that work? But then your children, who are they going to? That is what makes a will. But a will, if you speak to the common person, they only think about their bank balance. They think about their property. They think about their money investments. And wait a minute, you got children, you should be thinking about them. So when I'm talking to them, I have to divert the attention, who will be the caretakers of the children? And that's what, for me, makes a will. It's not the money, because money, goes up and down. The value of your property goes up and down. The investments go up and down. But your children, they are people who need to be taken care of. Now, the UAE has attracted so many people from all over the world. You know very well, in one household, there could be a husband and wife from 2 different countries.
Correct.
2 different cultures, maybe 2 different religions. Now, when I ask the person who's going to be the guardian of your children, I guarantee if there isn't an agreement, they will end up arguing. Now, you imagine they're alive and arguing. Who is the guardian of the children? You imagine if they know more tomorrow, who's the guardian? So for me, the will is covering the execution, the guardianship, and obviously your money as well. But I don't put focus on the money that much because I'm more concerned about the children. I mean, at the end of the day, we are parents, we have children.
Yes, of course.
I mean, why is other people not worried about children? Why are they worried about their money all the time? So a will, for me, covers the guardianship of the children, as well as who will do the legwork in the court.
Thank you very much. That's a very comprehensive answer and makes a lot of sense. I'm sure a lot of people will actually pay attention to this. I want to ask you, perhaps, if you could take us in a step-by-step process of what happens when a regular employee in the UAE, who's not got businesses, who's not got properties, who's not got lots of investments, he's a regular employee somewhere drawing a monthly salary. Perhaps the wife is a homemaker or a nation builder, she's taking care of the kids, or perhaps she works. I just want you to explain to our viewers what generally happens in this scenario where that person passes away.
Number one, the will covers everything you own at the time of your demise. So don't think today I have no property, I have no money.
Right.
Because you don't know tomorrow what you're going to have.
Okay.
So the will cover everything at the time of death.
Okay.
Now, in terms of what happens.
What happens if he doesn't have a will as well? So let's look at that scenario.
Okay, if he doesn't have a will.
Right.
If I can say a few points, which is common, even if you have a will or no will. Number
Yes.
one, all the bank accounts are blocked.
Okay.
Now remember, bank accounts are blocked only when the bank is informed.
Okay.
Now, if you're working for a company, you have a human resources department. Well, one of the responsibilities of the human resources department is to inform the bank where the salary is going to, that this employee is no more. So number one, they freeze the accounts. Now, it doesn't help that in this part of the world, that joint accounts are also blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know many people come and tell me, oh, they don't freeze bank accounts in my home country. I said, look, this is not your home country. We're talking about what happens here locally. So if you take a typical employee working for a company, he passes away, his bank accounts are blocked immediately. Number two, to collect the death certificate, because at the end of the day we need the body to be released, to collect the death certificate you have to cancel all the dependent visas. Number three, so imagine the wife has no bank account because they're blocked, her visa's cancelled, which means she's got to leave the country within 30 days. And then afterwards, she goes back to her country, comes to the UAE, and to open up the inheritance file.
Right.
Then they apply the law of the land, which is based on the Sharia principles.
Okay.
So let's take an example, who gets what? Look at the deceased share as 100 shares.
Okay.
Like I said, car, property, bank account, bank balance, even the gratuity. Now, many people who are employed don't realize the gratuity in the company life insurance can stack up a bit.
Right.
So I'm looking at all of that as 100 shares. The person passes away, the wife takes 12.5%. The parents of the deceased, if they're still alive, will take 16.66 each, and the balance will go 2 shares to the son, 1 share to the daughter. The point I'm trying to make is the bank accounts are blocked anyway, even there is a will or no will.
Okay.
Visas are cancelled even there is a will or no will. The only difference is, having a will, you can control the shares. If you don't have the will, the court will control the shares, and that's it.
Right. But does having the will make the process easier for the people to execute it, or does it still take the same amount of time?
Having a will, first of all, will put clarity on who are the legal heirs.
Right.
It will put clarity how's the money to be divided. The court will accept it.
Right.
Have a will.
Right. Okay.
Problem is people don't have the will.
Yes.
Now you take the UK, a good example. In the UK, if you don't draft a will, your family could end up paying 40% tax.
All right.
Now, do you know if you draft a will, you can avoid that 40% tax? Still, people don't draft wills in the UK. Now you imagine 40% tax. All you need to do is draft a will. In the UAE, the monies, the division, you control it in the will. Process, you have to go to the court. I agree. Bank accounts are blocked anyway, but why are they blocked? To make sure the money goes to the right person.
Right.
So sometimes you've got to do the right thing for the wrong reasons, or sometimes you've got to do the wrong things for the right reasons. It's case by case. I've seen cases where blocking the bank account was the best thing to do.
Right.
I've seen cases where it wasn't the right thing to do.
Right.
I'm not here to judge a situation. I'm just telling you it is what it is. But if you know there's a problem, what are you going to do? Just ignore it, or you want to do something about it?
Just preempt it. So the UAE, there were talks that they were going to bring in rules where, because I remember this happening to one of my friends when this back 25 years ago, because I was born and raised here, right? So I think his father passed away and everybody's visas were cancelled and he left the country and so on and so forth.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Visas being cancelled is an immigration matter.
Right.
It's not the Sharia.
Yes.
That's why I tell people, you got to look what is Sharia.
Right.
What is the sort of the UAE system?
Yeah.
So freezing bank accounts is not Sharia.
Yes.
Cancellation of visas is not Sharia.
Right.
How the money is divided, that's governed by Sharia.
But is it true now, Mr. Maria, that they've introduced recently a law, or they've talked about this, that now we will, if for example, if somebody's for instance, the main breadwinner passes away, they will allow the children to continue for another year and the wife to continue another year on the visa? Have they implemented that?
No, they are implemented systems.
Right.
I mean, don't forget, when it comes to certain matters, discretion, vasta is applied.
Right.
But if you follow the letter of the law, this is what happens.
Right,
Now, I know there's a widow's visa they brought out.
Okay.
They're trying to give children time to
Finish
finish
the
a
school.
study, but there is still potential problems. And
Okay.
sometimes you might not qualify for a widow's visa.
Right.
Maybe your children may not qualify to
Right,
stay
right,
in
right.
school.
Okay.
There's certain factors that need to be taken into consideration.
Completely understandable. Okay. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it. My name is Fahd Dawood. I've been doing this for 15 plus years. I started in Toronto, Canada in 2006, and since 2007 I've been based in Dubai and doing real estate in Dubai. Look, if you're looking to work with me, there's a form below and my mobile number. I do paid consulting. You can also get help from my team for services. If you like the video, press the like button, press the subscribe and the bell icon, and share it with your friends who you feel would be able to benefit from the content of this video. Last but not the least, I'll repeat, me and my team's role is always going to be to help and select the best property for you. Your role will be to invest in that property, and we will in turn invest in your life and your future. Bye for now.